Right, what's up everybody? We'll go ahead and get started here shortly or momentarily. But as always, we'll just do the quick audio and visual check. And assuming you guys can hear us and see us, we'll get started. Just a quick warning here. I don't have the microphone and it's crazy wind. I mean, this must be like 15 mile an hour plus winds tonight. Some of the gusts could potentially be 20 miles an hour. So we may have some issues with the audio. I just want to set that expectation. But besides that, not too bad. Weather's looking pretty good. Beautiful skies here on Billionaires Row. We'll get started soon. Thanks, everyone. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Good evening and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is Monday, June 24th, 2024. It is 9:44 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are recording live. Oh, look at the dog. I think that's like a golden doodle. Hey. We're reporting live directly from Central Park South, adjacent the beautiful Plaza Hotel, which is right here, and Fifth Avenue. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit about the markets today. If you read the Behind the Street newsletter that we sent out on Thursday or Thursday night, we talked about a potential pullback in the markets this week because we have pretty gross extension over the major moving averages on both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. I'll take you on a quick look behind the desk here. Let me just turn my brightness up so you can see. Whoops. Okay, cool. So here's a quick peek at the daily of the NASDAQ 100. We talked about this gross overextension from the 50-day, and today, like clockwork, we had about a 225-point decline in the NASDAQ 100, or just about 1.15%. If we shift gears going over to the SOXX, which is the iShares Semiconductor ETF, that was down about 3%, and that has also experienced gross extension over the 50-day. But if you think about what kind of stocks are in this semiconductor ETF, I think a good resource would be going to our newsletter right here, because one of the things we talked about is right here, the iShares, or the BlackRock iShares Semiconductor ETF. It's been up just a ridiculous amount, up about 65 points or 35% from its January 2024 breakout. And we talked about how overextended it is, right? We have NVIDIA 30% extended from its 50-day moving average and 90% extended above the 200-day. That's pretty aggressive, right? And when you have funds and, oops, a lot of mosquitoes. When you have funds and investors kind of seeing that, they're going to sell some into strength, particularly over the summer. That type of gross extension always warrants a pullback. And if I had to bet, if I was a betting person, I would say we're probably going to go through the doldrums of summer now. We're probably going to have things correct. We're probably going to have things pull back, which is actually pretty good news, because if you look at historical data of stock market performance in both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ in election years, okay? This is very important. In election years, and we also wrote an article about that. You can go back in the archives and check it out. The markets perform very well during presidential election years, but specifically after the election, towards the tail end. So, wouldn't be all that abnormal to see the S&P, the NASDAQ pull back as we go through the summer, a little bit of volatility into the election. After all the craziness of the US elections are over, we'll probably have a pretty strong Santa Claus rally. At least that's what I'm expecting and hoping for. You know, nobody knows what's going to go on, but if I had to guess, I think that will probably happen. I want to quickly talk about crude oil. We'll go to ticker symbol CL here. Crude oil was up on the day, $81 a barrel. If we look at the XLE, which is the Spider Energy ETF, that was up almost 2% on the day, closing at $91. Energy and financials, the XLF, so the XLE and the XLF were really the only two sectors that had somewhat of an okay day. Everything else was getting hammered. So, all right, that's all I got, everyone. If you want to sign up to receive all of our free market research, if you just scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, it'll bring you to our Substack, which looks like this, and we send it out every other Thursday right as the market closes. There's a lot of good info in there. Go ahead, scan the QR code, and check it out. Share it with your friends, family, whatever you got to do, and we'll get started here in a minute. Thanks. Right, let's see what we got. I see Shannon is here. Alan, what's up? Doc7, it's good to see you. I see Peter. Good to see you, Peter. Troy Atman is in the house. Alan, what's up? Oh, Alan, I got your email, by the way. Appreciate the recommendation on that podcast. I will definitely be checking that out. Sharon is here. What's going on? George, Mark Summers, Jimmy B. This is Tom, Toma Bravo, exploring a sale of an auto marketplace trader. I'll check that out too. Thank you for letting me know. A collector's dream, Patrice 2020, Mark, what's going on from Texas, Tyree. Looks like we got a full house. So let's go ahead and get started. We need to make our way down to 34th Street. As always, and apologies for starting late. It was one of those months, if you joined the live stream last night, we spent a great deal of time talking about those two big towers here, which is the Deutsche Bank towers, formerly known as the Time Warner Center, or the AOL Time Warner Center. The construction of those two towers there really transformed Columbus Circle, and arguably you could say made way for New York City's Billionaires Row. New England Crypto, good to see you. Speaking of crypto currencies, Bitcoin getting hammered. It looks like we had a failed breakout from that base. Sold off pretty much all weekend, selling down into the low 60s, 60,000. So looks like risk is being dumped across the board. And just as we thought that we were going to kind of have a little bit of a decoupling. And what I mean by that is, if you look at how the NASDAQ 100 trades, which is pretty much all high beta growth stocks and tech stocks, there's a high correlation or similar beta. Oh, what are these guys doing? I thought they were going to wipe out. There's a very, very high correlation between if tech stocks are doing good usually Bitcoin does pretty well. But now you're kind of seeing that correlation happen again, where you're starting to see risk get sold down. A lot of the stocks that were grossly extended, which we've talked about, like particularly the semiconductor sector, all that's being sold off. Some profit taking, which is normal. And a lot of the high beta, more speculative assets are as well. Gold is holding up though. Gold's holding up pretty well. Lance, what's up? See sunshine after rain. This is the Central Park subway station, or I should say the 5th Avenue subway station, where you can get the N, R, and W trains. I kind of like the look of those lampposts overlooking Central Park. It's going to be a very windy live stream, just a forewarning. Here's what it looks like down there. Steph UF, good to see you. Sally, Kimberly, Professor Dario, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. And Football Shane, what's up? All right, we won't go too far to the west, and we won't go too far east. We'll try to stay centrally located in Manhattan, because a lot of times, the further you go, and you guys really witnessed that last night, the Hudson Yards, we were like in a wind tunnel last night, and I could only imagine what the Hudson Yards is like right now. I probably can't even breathe over there, it's so windy. So we'll try to stay centrally located, 6th Avenue. Since we're across the street, I want to show you the Park Lane Hotel. This actually isn't that bad of a hotel to stay in. You're right next to everything. You're right next to the Plaza Hotel, but this is about half the price. And the Park Lane was totally renovated during the pandemic. So it was closed and they did a gut renovation. So it's actually pretty good. The more pricey hotels on Central Park South, obviously being the Plaza, also being right here, which is 50 Central Park South. That's the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and Residences. And then as you go further down towards Columbus Circle, you have the iconic Essex House, which is the JW Marriott. There was an interesting article in the New York Post, I'm not sure if anybody read it, where they were testing air quality all around the city. And right where we're walking, Central Park South, going up towards the Upper West Side and the Upper East Side, have some of the best air quality in the city. Which makes sense, right? I mean, look at all the trees. You're right next to the park. That's another plus. It's always nice to live next to the park, but the air quality is some of the best in the entire city. Some of the worst air quality is down near Chinatown and Tribeca, mainly because there's no trees. If you notice from our walks, every time we go to Canal Street, Tribeca, even Little Italy and Chinatown, there's no greenery, like virtually zero. And it also gets like roasting in the summer. So anyway, interesting fact, there was a air quality study in the city. Middle Age Grind. This was stayed at the Thompson Hotel last year. Really nice hotel. Yeah, and you know what? I think there's a new development that's built within the Thompson, and it's called 111. So not to be confused with 111 West 57th Street. This new development is quite literally called 111, but it's, see, it's the same thing that we were talking about, the head-on collisions with the bikes. But this development is also called 111, I should say. And it has great views of Central Park. The only problem is the way the HOA is set up, the hotel will always have more voting rights than the residences. So one of my team members was about to do a big deal in that building, and the deal fell apart because the buyer wasn't comfortable with having the hotel having most of the voting rights. So let's say if the hotel voted that they wanted to redo the lobby in a certain way or do maintenance, it's pretty much whatever the hotel says goes. It's a nice beagle right there. But check it out. Yeah, Thompson Hotel, which I think is right over here. They also have the residences too. Now this is the, oh, let me turn off the Wi-Fi. This is the real 111. We'll take a quick detour and see if the garage doors are open. I don't think they are. This place is always a tight ship. But this is the Steinway Tower. The standout 111 building, I should say. Looks like a lot of people are home. And then you have 157. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah, Professor Dario, it is absolutely amazing, Steinway Tower. When you see it in person, it's so thin. It's a very, very impressive piece of engineering. All of these super talls in Manhattan are just unbelievable specimens of engineering. And I'm very excited for a few developments that are going to be popping up in Miami. Particularly the Waldorf Astoria, which is going to be the tallest residential building south of New York City. And the buildings seem taller in Florida. I don't know how to describe it. I uploaded that Billionaires Row of the South walking tour 2 days ago, and we were talking about the Turnberry Ocean Club. We were talking about Porsche design, the two towers that's going to be the St. Regis, and we discussed the Bentley. Now, I believe the tallest one on Sunny Isles Beach is going to be 750 feet tall. So nowhere as near as tall as the ones in New York, right? I mean, 157, when that was first being built and when that first topped out, I think it's 1,001 feet tall, 157. And everybody was like, whoa, what a crazy, crazy super tall that is. Now it's one of the shortest buildings on New York City's Billionaires Row. I mean, look at Steinway and then look at Central Park Tower. Huge, huge buildings, but to me, when I walk Sunny Isles Beach, it feels to me that the Turnberry is taller than Central Park Tower. I think it's just because it's literally right at sea level. And you're surrounded by so many low-rise buildings. Like in New York, if you're walking down Billionaires Row, everything is really tall. So there's not that such stark contrast, if it makes sense. Anyway, this is a beautiful shot. You have those scattered clouds in the background. And this is the retail at 111 West 50. Oh, a Cybertruck. Perfect timing. This is the retail at 111 West 57th Street. And that's one of the main entrances too. There's also apartments in here. Beautiful. But it looks like 57th Street is going to be going under some construction. You can see how the street is totally ripped up. So if you're a resident on 57th Street, Billionaires Row, you're going to have to listen to some clang and bang action pretty much all summer. Man, what a shot. What do you guys think? Hey, what's up, Sam? Good to see you. Football says 270 Park is the newest building. Yeah, so that's an office tower. That's also another really cool building. 270 Park Avenue, the new JP Morgan Chase building. That one's quite beautiful. Now, speaking of JP Morgan Chase, we need to talk about Jamie Dimon a little bit, because there was some breaking news that they're going to be expanding operations to South Florida in 2 locations. Number 1, Jamie Dimon is expanding in West Palm Beach, and number 2 in Brickell, in Miami. So that's pretty encouraging. And we've been talking about, you know, what's really going to make it different this time. Hold on, I want to point out the Thompson Hotel for that viewer who stayed. I really like the Thompson Hotel. Let's see if I can give you a quick peek in the lobby. It is open to the public. They have a kind of a cool bar here. And this is exactly what I was saying. You guys see the 111 thing? Yeah, let's go in. It's open to the public so we can film. This is what I'm talking about. So not to be confused with the Steinway Tower. It says 111. So it's a little confusing. Sometimes clients are like, 111, you mean Steinway? No, no, no. I think they branded it like that on purpose. But these are condos within the hotel, and it shares the same lobby. Just thought I'd quickly point that out. But it's quite nice. Just keep that in mind if you're going to purchase here. There is a little bit of conflict with the voting rights for the condo board. Anyway, you do get good views though of Central Park on the higher floors. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Jamie Dimon. So one of the main things that we were discussing to kind of assume, all right, you know, if you think about previous downturns in market cycles, markets like Miami, Florida tend to get hit the most. Florida is a the state of Florida in general is a very, very volatile real estate market, particularly Miami. Now, what I think over time will make it less volatile is the job growth. And the job growth that can really compete with those New York salaries, with those San Francisco salaries, kind of the coastal elite cities. So with this news of Jamie Dimon moving more employees down there, expanding office space in both West Palm Beach and Brickell, I think that's an encouraging sign. So we have some Wall Street giants continuing to move down to South Florida. So now we're standing outside of 157 West 57th Street. This is the first building ever constructed on New York City's Billionaires Row. Door number 1 right here is the Park Hyatt Hotel. Door number 2 is the Residence. Now, I think there's some notable politicians staying here because they had this entire place roped off yesterday and today. You can see the police barricades, you see an NYPD cruiser, that looks like private security. And it goes all the way down to the corner by Carnegie Hall. Now, this is my favorite building on Billionaires Row because the facade of 157 kind of looks like a waterfall. You can really see it a lot better, the details of the facade during the day, but it's supposed to mimic like a waterfall, and it's quite beautiful. And it looks like a lot of people are home. So I think the first 22 floors at 157 is the hotel at the Park Hyatt, and the rest are all condos. And this section right here, if I'm not mistaken, where you see all those lights, I think that's the pool. So anyway, pretty cool. There is also some more kind of breaking news coming out of Florida, but it's news that we talk about on the live stream. So kind of like you're getting tomorrow's news today right here on Walks on Wall Street. There was another article that broke that said more condo buyers in South Florida, particularly in Miami, are facing 6-figure balloon special assessments. And it's forcing people to either just liquidate or, be in a very, very tough position financially. So I always just like to reiterate, because the allure of moving down to Miami, it's still very, very high. There's a lot of opportunity, but if you don't do the diligence, if you're not working with the right people, you could buy into a building that's coming up on a major special assessment and then you have to come out of pocket 6 figures. Now that's a rare circumstance, but what's not a rare circumstance is, 5-figure special assessments. So make sure if you're gonna buy in a condominium down there, particularly that's more than 10 years old, you really got to do your due diligence and, do a total forensic audit on the financials. So request all of the financials, request the working capital, see how much they have in reserves. It's super, super important to do that. Here we're looking at Central Park Tower, right here by the Carnegie Hall. Oh, damn, this guy is going right into traffic. Not smart by that guy. Now, I was doing some research today to see when all of this scaffolding is going to be taken down from the Carnegie Hall, and I couldn't find any details. So this scaffolding, very, very possible, may be up for the foreseeable future, which is a little bit of a bummer. I almost forget what Carnegie Hall looks like without any of the scaffolding there. Hey, what's up, Cosmo? Good to see you. Hopefully you made out well yesterday during the 90% plus humidity we had. Sabrina Ferris' husband just asked, did you hear what Tom said about Miami? Let's look to buy. I would say it just really depends on the deal. And, if you see, let's just say this, if you see something where you're like, wow, this is priced really, really well. That's so strange. And it's a condo and it was built in the 70s or 80s. It's probably priced well for a reason. And there's probably going to be issues with the building, and they probably have no reserves. But if you want to kind of reframe that, look on the bright side, we've spoke about this before as we're standing right across the street from Central Park Tower. There's a lot of people with a lot of money, and in South Florida, particularly private equity, and they know what's going on. So they're probably hunting for these deals actively to do a buyout on everybody in the building, because if they can, let's say if they can buy them out at par valuation or 1.5x the value, and they can convince everybody to do so, well, then they could just demo the whole building, and then the land is probably worth more than the entire building that was built on the land, because then you could shop it around to different developers and they could build these brand new luxury condos, which would be quite interesting, which are probably going to be built up to better standards, be better capitalized, and bring on new products. So all right, this is a almost intimidating shot of Central Park Tower, and you can see that little gold top of 220 Central Park South by Vornado. And in the top right hand corner of your screen, 157 again. Nordstrom is the big anchor tenant here at Central Park Tower, 217 West 57th Street. NBA Elias, Tom, State Farm just announced they are canceling thousands of more insurance policies in California. Yeah, I saw that too, and I think that trend is going to continue. I think that trend is going to continue in, the states. If you really want to just break it down and be blunt about it, where it's most desirable to live, it's going to have the most problems, because chances are, if you live, on the water in Miami, where it's beautiful, your insurance premiums are going to blow out. And if you live in California in the hills, where it's absolutely gorgeous, where you have those big mega mansions, well, they could possibly be susceptible to you know, natural occurring wildfires and the like, where insurance companies are probably just going to pull out. Now the problem is, and I think, and don't quote me on this, I remember I was doing some research a while ago into this insurance problem in California. And again, I don't know 100%, so what I'm about to say, don't take it as fact, but I believe, okay, the state of California passed some sort of regulation that prevents insurance companies from factoring in future risk into the pricing of their policies. So, for example, insurance company can't hire, let's say, you know, scientists to do modeling to say, is this particular part of town going to be more susceptible to wildfires in 10 years? And if they say yes, well, then they would, you know, incrementally jack up the insurance premiums there. They're not allowed to do that on a forecasting model, which doesn't really make any sense. So what's happening is they're like, okay, fine, if we can't do that, if we can't cover our risk, we'll just pull out. We just won't even write any policies or just drop people's policies, which is a big problem. So I think it's going to be an issue in California. I think it's going to be an issue in Florida. And you guys may not believe me, but I have a friend in Brooklyn, really nice place in Brooklyn, was telling me that he's now having problems with his insurance. And I think that's going to stretch out to Nassau County, particularly people who live in the shores, like Massapequa Shores, places like Baldwin, Freeport, right, all in those canals there. Island Park, right? If anybody's familiar with Nassau County, if you go south shore Long Island, there's some beautiful homes. I mean, really, really beautiful homes that are all on those canals. But look, I mean, look what happened during Hurricane Sandy. Some of those homes quite literally had to be put up on stilts. If you ever drive through like Atlantic Beach, through Long Beach, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that area, but if you take a trip out to Long Beach or something like that, you'll see the homes and they're on stilts. They're significantly elevated on stilts. And they're having major problems with the insurance. Like, premium's absolutely blown out. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Mark Summers. This is Tom. Insurance problems in northern Arizona, in the pines and foresty areas. NBA Elias is correct, Tom. That is a fact. Joel PM says State Farm will happily reduce my premium after cutting those risky policies. Maybe, hopefully, you would think. Jimmy B says the state should require a certain percent of those building value to be held in reserves. Alan says, waiting on the Midwest to start seeing insurance companies canceling policies. Tornadoes are happening more than ever here this year, along millions upon millions in damage. Now, Alan, that's a good point. Now, if you think about it, and maybe what I'm about to say is going to sound a little bit ignorant, but let's just really think about this for a second, okay? And it's going to sound obvious, but like insurance, the insurance companies are pulling out of all the areas and all the neighborhoods where people need the insurance. But they're going to continue to write policies and make money in areas where nobody really needs the insurance, right? And again, that's a general statement, okay? But do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of insurance companies as it is, and I understand that they need to cover their risk, but the whole point of getting insurance is for situations like that. Obviously, the insurance companies want you to just pay the premiums, and, you know, cross their fingers and pray to God that you never make a claim, so they never have to pay you out. So it seems as if insurance in America is just going to sell you insurance in areas where you'll never need it, just so you pay them like a cash cow. And any time where they need to actually do something to help the customer, they're just going to pull out altogether. It's very strange. At least that's what it seems like. Anyway. And then when you do make a claim, they probably make it really, really difficult for you to collect on that. Now, again, that's a general statement. You know, there's nuances, you know, where insurance does come in and it's fantastic. I absolutely understand that. Now, what I've also heard, kind of staying on this topic in South Florida, which I think it'll be interesting to continue on, because we're going to have a lot of housing data come out this week. We're going to get new home sales. After last week, we got existing home sales. But additionally, I was reading something in the Journal over the weekend, how the FEMA, you know, the FEMA banks, or the reserves that, you know, FEMA has in accordance, like God forbid there's a hurricane or something, those are pretty much depleted. Those are pretty much run dry. And what all the experts, right, all the major meteorologists and scientists, according to them, they think that this year is going to be one of the worst hurricane seasons on record due to the warming of the oceans. There's extreme warm temperatures in the oceans right now, due to the way the jet stream has shifted. So according to all the experts, right, the scientists, the meteorologists, they are predicting that we are going to have one of the worst hurricane seasons on record at the same time when the FEMA funds are all but depleted. So it should be fun times. So pray to God that there's no hurricanes. OGO says I view my house insurance as catastrophic insurance and put the highest deductible to keep my premiums down. That's what I do too. That's what I do too. For sure. Troy Atman says fear porn, but maybe, potentially. TK Porsche says insurance companies will write policies when there's extreme risk. They just wanted to price accordingly in California anyway. The state insurer regulator just won't allow the rate pricing for reasonable profit. Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably what I mentioned. I just didn't know if I read it so long ago. So yeah, essentially, the state of California does not allow the insurance companies to take into account future risk projections and price those policies accordingly, which the state of California thought, they're like, okay, if we put in place this policy, you know, the insurance companies won't price gouge the customers, right? I'm using that air quotes for lack of a better term. But what actually happened is that the insurance company just pulled out of the state. So it's almost as if, and we've used this before, the saying, anytime the government tries to enact a policy that interferes with the free market with hopes to make things more affordable for working class and middle class people, it actually does the opposite. It actually makes things 10 times more expensive, or you get no products and services at all. So now many people are going to be uninsured. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. This is 1 Central Park West, the Trump International Hotel and Tower. It looks like someone's home up there at 157. Check this out. It looks like the, what would that be? The 89th and the 90th floor penthouse at 157. Hey, Vivian Francesca, what's up? Alan's is kind of off topic, but does anyone here have a Kia or a Hyundai? How much of a pain in the ass is it to get insurance? Why would it be a pain to get insurance on those vehicles? See, I'm kind of a little bit blessed that I don't have a car. I don't have to deal with this stuff, but I'm sure I will. What would you say the average car insurance policy? Oh, high theft rates, says Alan. Paul says Kias are easily stolen. Wow. Iraj says Bill Ackman lives there. He doesn't live there. I think Bill has the 77th and 78th duplex. Yeah, I didn't think about that. See, that's interesting. So Hyundais and Kias are very, very easily stolen. I didn't know that. Huh. So let's make this guess. Insurance policies for vehicles in a city like San Francisco, where the windows get blown out every day, are probably extremely expensive for a policy in SF. Also, if you have kids, if your kids are on your policy and your kids are speeding, they get speeding tickets. I mean, you're done. This is the Jazz Club at Lincoln Center. Middle-aged clients, Kias and Hyundais require immobilizer to be insured by some insurance companies. New England Crypto says, but why would someone want to steal a Kia? True. I wonder how like the theft is for Teslas. NBA Elias, Tom, if you live close to the southern border, car insurance rates are astronomical. Now with full self-driving, and I know I hammer on full self-driving all the time, but once this technology is really put in place and it's actually real, I think the full self-driving we have right now, everybody could agree it's not fully cooked yet. It's just not, it's like beta version. All right, let's cross. That should bring insurance rates down significantly. Now what makes me nervous is every time we have these heavy rains in South Florida, like Brickell, things like that, and I see all of the cars submerged in water, I'm like, phew, that's just more and more money that people are gonna have to pay in their insurance premiums. I feel as if people should know the drill already. When it rains like crazy in Brickell, people shouldn't be driving through Brickell because it's just they know it's gonna flood. 7 to 10 feet of water there. John Kirk says, Tom, the theft issue with the Kias have been resolved with the newer models. Scholler says, are WeWork offices considered corporate addresses for businesses? You don't really need a physical office. You can, it's called a virtual office. You can buy a virtual office and have a mail go there for sure. That is a package, so you could rent a WeWork space to actually go into the WeWork office and work there, or it's something called a virtual office where you can get mail, you could put your corporate address. Yeah, either or. You could do whatever. Hey, Pete NYC says there was a viral TikTok trend about how easy it is to steal Kias and Hyundais. Now, who was making those TikToks? Was it the criminals? I mean, what a ridiculous judgment lapse that is. Like, if I'm a criminal, right, I'm not gonna go make a bunch of TikToks showing people how I steal cars. Essentially incriminating myself. Or maybe it's just like a public service announcement. Anyway, let's head downtown. Holy crap. NBA Elias says, Tom, large number of airbags being stolen out of Hondas and then selling the airbags online. Why? I don't even get what the use case that would be. Scholler says, Tom, what are your thoughts on business credit? And is it good to have? I guess. Like what, if you just taking a line of credit on the business to buy new equipment or something like that? guess it's good to have. I mean, if you need it. Like if you own a trucking company and you need to take out a loan or a line of credit to buy a new truck or something like that, or take out a line of credit to buy inventory, sure, I guess it's good, yeah. Look at this dog. I think this is a Korean breed. I think it's beautiful. It's probably hot as hell though in the city right now. Alan says, of all the things to steal from a car, the airbags are not the first thing that comes to mind. Very interesting. Yeah, me either. But then again, I'm not a big car expert, so you guys are teaching me a lot. This is really perplexing. This is strange. Why would people steal? I mean, I've heard of the Cadillac converters that people are stealing, but I haven't heard of airbags. Brad's Brains is in Houston. Cadillac converter thefts have dropped tremendously after some random guy was busted. Worth millions, just one guy. Wow. Now, what used to happen a lot in Queens is there would be these like organized crime gangs that would hit, one neighborhood in Queens, and all of the cars would be up on cinder blocks and all the wheels would be stolen. But I think what you can buy is like a special lug nut that has a lock. It's like a smart lock on the lug nut, which prevents people from stealing your tires. But I mean, imagine what a pain in the ass that must be. You're coming out at 6 a.m. to go to work, and you come to your car, and your car's on cinder blocks. What a pain in the ass. I could only imagine. It's terrible. But yeah, I think there's those smart lug nuts now, where they can't, but that's been going on for a long time. That's been going on for a long, long time here. Anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There's a reason why Warren Buffett has invested so much in insurance companies. Very, very lucrative business for sure. The Osborne, 205 West 57th Street. Beautiful building. I was telling you about that one listing that's in here, that the guy converted it into a library. So essentially you're just buying like a library / office. It's a crazy, crazy listing. It's beautiful. Now, somebody sent me, now that we're on the topic of vehicles, somebody sent me a clip of this podcast from the Dave Ramsey show. And the clip was Dave Ramsey saying nobody should be spending more than, you can get a used car in America for $5,000. I don't know about that anymore. I mean, $5,000, I don't think you can get a used car in the United States of America. And if it does cost $5,000, I don't think the thing's gonna run very much. Now, I understand his premise and where he's coming from. People shouldn't, go into debt to buy new vehicles, but I think nowadays with inflation, I think the $5,000 number for a used car in the US, I think is a little laughable. And this is coming from someone who knows nothing about cars. Because you also have to consider this, right? You have to consider the costs to fix down the line. So if you're gonna buy a $5,000 piece of rusted junk, right? Maybe it'll run good for 2 or 3 weeks, and then something's gonna bust, and then that's gonna be $1,000. Then once you fix that for $1,000, boom, something else is gonna bust. That's gonna be another $1,000. So sometimes, right? Now, don't take this too far, but sometimes it's good to pay for something that's going to be reliable. I'm not saying go all out and buy like something that's tricked out with all the electronic nonsense, but you know, get something that's reliable but bare bones basic. I think that should be the message, instead of, you know, gaslighting $5,000 for a used car. I just think that's a little ridiculous. I mean, we have people who are in the car business. Is that correct, or can you get something decent for $5,000? NBA Elias says if the car has an electronic software problem, it will cost you $5,000 just to fix it. David's 5,000 is way too low. Yeah, I was looking online. I don't think you can get anything that's actually going to run for $5,000. Cheese Puffs says go to a dealer auction. No, aren't there police auctions? If the cops repo or tow a vehicle and it's not collected, doesn't at some point that gets auctioned off and you could try to get a steal there? Roberts is $5,000 will buy you a pile of trouble. Mies is $2,500 Ford Focus. I have replaced a wheel bearing in the past 65 miles, but I'm in Minnesota. That's not bad. Oh wow, Ozzy says you paid $3,500 for the car. Alright, so maybe you can do it. Hey, Jill Adams says, hey Tom, I'll be in Manhattan. Hold on. I just lost your comment. Oh, cool. Next week for your birthday. Awesome. Hope to run into you during your walks. Yeah, probably. I'll be here. Nice. Well, happy birthday. On the 4th of July, too. Very, very good. Now, I would be a little concerned because I wouldn't say I'm in the market to buy a Tesla, but I'd say probably within the next 5 to 7 years, I'll probably buy one. I don't know if I would buy a used Tesla. And I was reading some forums, some Reddit forums, which is probably not the best place to get advice. But if you buy a used Tesla and something goes wrong with the battery, you're pretty much out of luck. You know, there's no warranty on that. Yes. And to replace the battery of a Tesla, it's very, very pricey. So maybe for Tesla, it's either just best to lease it and just roll the lease, or just buy it from Tesla Direct. Anybody have any experience buying a used Tesla? I'm just worried about battery issues. Here we are outside the Sheraton Hotel. AI says, hey Tom, in Argentina, a Toyota Corolla is almost $35,000. half of that are taxes. Well, speaking of Argentina, we actually have some very, very good news coming out of the great country of Argentina. Does anybody know what it is? For the first time ever, there was no monthly increase in inflation in Argentina. So maybe the new president is actually working wonders, but over the last month there was no increase in inflation. So, good news for you guys. Oh, that's true. Also, someone was talking about the tax rebate. Jimmy says you don't get any tax rebates when you buy a used Tesla, only new. It's true. It's a good one. David S. says it's definitely too soon to know on the used Tesla situation. Mark says, Tom, someone asked earlier if you plan on streaming during the presidential debates on Thursday. You know what? I completely forgot that there was going to be the presidential debates this Thursday. I don't know what I'll do because I kind of want to watch it. You guys know I'm not like super into politics, and I usually tune it out, and I tell everybody to tune it out. But I'm going to watch this for the comedic effect. I mean, you cannot not watch Donald Trump and Joe Biden going at it. I mean, you kind of have to watch that. So I don't know. We'll see. Now, is it correct? Because someone sent me an article. There's going to be no audience? That's no fun. I feel like most of the fun in these debates is to kind of see the audience's reaction, you know, when the candidates are throwing blows at each other. I mean, that feels like that's the most fun. Is that correct? From what I understand, my understanding is that there's going to be no audience. It's just going to be radio silence and Joe Biden and Donald Trump. That's a little lame. Anyway, yeah, I'll watch it. Might as well. Yeah, Kimberly. This is Mermaid Man versus Barnacle Foot. Pam says, Tom, you also have to have electric house hookups. Yeah, I got that covered. I want to install a charger. I think it's at the level 2 charger I'll probably install at the house. I'm definitely not going to have it in New York City. I'll have it in Miami, not in New York. Let's make a little bit of a detour. I don't know if I could stomach Times Square tonight, honestly. Maybe we'll have a debate watch party. Now, I think tomorrow Argentina's playing. I'll try to get out of work and watch that. But I don't know. What are your expectations for the debates? I don't think I have any expectations. Honestly, I don't think I have any expectations. But look, I mean, regardless if you're for Trump or Biden, if you go all the way back to, well, I'll put it this way. The most entertaining thing on earth was the Republican debates leading up to the last election. I mean, that was hilarious. I mean, you can't not admit that it wasn't funny. It was funny. So I think with no audience, it's just going to be a little awkward maybe at times. And I don't know if that's going to affect maybe the performance of the debaters, right? I mean, if you think about it, let's say if you crack a joke or something like that, or you take a shot at the other candidate and there's no reaction, you don't know if that's going to hit or not. It's kind of like being a stand-up comedian. you know, if you're a stand-up comedian, you kind of gauge the success of how you're doing throughout your bit based upon the audience's reaction. So if you throw out a joke, how are you going to know if the joke is going to bomb or not? I don't know. Cheese Puff says Joe Biden can't handle the live audience. I mean, to Biden's credit, didn't he absolutely smoke Paul Ryan in the debate, the vice presidential debate? I don't know, but I mean, I'll watch it totally, for sure. Zozo Bob says Trump without a crowd will not do well. Steph UF says CNN is a big question. Will they act like hockey referees? That's so funny. Hi everyone, this is Radio City Music Hall. Lots of traffic. Surprise, lots of traffic tonight for a Monday. Hey, what's up, Ed? Hey, we have Donald Trump's #1 fan in the chat, my good friend Ed Potke. Hope you're well, Ed. Thanks for joining. Hopefully it's a lot less humid in upstate New York. It was 70% humidity in New York City last week. Now, what do you think the ratings are going to be for something like that? I think that'll draw massive numbers. They should do the presidential debate watch party at Bryant Park or something cool. Or put it up on the big billboards at Times Square. Now, you know what I was thinking about? Because the elections are obviously in November, right? I want to do some sort of a live broadcast with the elections, maybe in Times Square. And just point the camera, because in Times Square they usually have the USA map, and you know, change it based upon, you know, a Democrat won a state or a Republican won a state or something like that. I think it'd be cool to broadcast that live, like do a 12-hour non-stop presidential stream in Times Square, something like that. That'd be cool. I'm down. I would do that if you guys are interested. Says Trump and former White House doctor calling for a drug test for Biden before the debate. I mean, maybe I'm ignorant, but I don't understand any of that. I mean, it's not like this isn't a UFC event. It's not like they're going to go into a cage and start beating the hell out of each other. You know what I mean? Like, are drugs really going to help that much? I don't know about that. This isn't, you know, an athletic event. I mean, at least that's how I think about it. And I'm a right-leaning person. I would consider myself a conservative. But like, I mean, am I missing something? I mean, maybe I am. But this isn't like a UFC event. This isn't a boxing event where they're gonna, you know, get in there and, you know, roll jiu-jitsu or something. You know, it's just kind of it's just talking. Anyway. I mean, maybe if you do a bunch of blow, right? You do a few lines before you get up on stage, and maybe you'll have more energy. But I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if you're 6 years old. I don't even know if an 86-year-old heart could handle cocaine. Man, look at this line. It goes all the way down to the end. all the way to 48th Street. Man. So from West 49th Street, it goes the entire duration of the block. It's wild. Well, God bless Adele's Famous, and definitely make a lot of money. Stroller says that's the fake halal guys. No, it is not. It's the better halal guys. These guys are way better than halal guys. Halal guys kind of fell off, honestly. You know, as a critic of halal food.
Oh yeah.
Halal guys actually isn't good. I would honestly say it's not good food. The Adele's Famous is the best, bar none. You can't even compare. It's very, very good. I don't have it that much anymore because, as you can see, you're gonna have to wait 3 hours. There's no way I'm gonna wait 3 hours for that. I think I was wearing an Messi jersey. Oh, they're both wearing Messi jerseys. One Argentina and the other Miami FC. We're gonna get to see Miami in action. We're gonna get to see Argentina in action tomorrow. Yeah, this is good. This is a fun summer because we have Copa America and we have the Euros. So yesterday, USA had a really good game. Christian Pulisic had a great goal. 2 minutes in. And I think it was a pretty good performance overall by Team USA. I was quite pleased with it. I feel as if they could have tucked away a few more goals. They had a lot of chances at the end. If anyone watched the USA game. And then Portugal played too. Cristiano Ronaldo had that assist. Wide open net, he decided to dish it off. NBA Live says, Tom, will you attend the World Cup games in 2026? Hey, if I have the money, I'm definitely gonna attend a game for sure. Now the question is, do you think that Messi will play in the next World Cup? Do you think that Cristiano Ronaldo will play in the next World Cup? I don't know. Hey, Madison 32, what's up? Thank you so much. AI says Messi, probably. Hopefully. That would be amazing. Maybe they'll go back-to-back World Cup champs. Now, I told you this a million times, but I was in Little Buenos Aires on the day Argentina won the World Cup. It was insane. It was crazy. So Little Buenos Aires is in North Beach, Miami, just north of Mid Beach. 72nd Street to 96th. I believe, and crazy. Let's just say that it was absolutely crazy. So hopefully I'll be there again. Now obviously I want the USA to win the World Cup, but that's just not realistic. It's just not feasible. So, assuming the USA doesn't win it, screw it. We might as well go for a back-to-back for Argentina, just because it'd be cool if Messi would win again. I used to watch this player. I think he played for Uruguay. Oh man, I don't want to. Was it Cavani? I forget. DC Motors. Hey, you didn't send me the information for the parking business. It's not a business. It's just we're selling the individual parking spaces. I sent you the cost and the common charges for all of it. Right. So the list price, $175,000, and then $340 for the taxes, $75 for the common charges, and $125 for the garage security. It's not a business. It's just selling the individual condo spaces. It's just for people who want to purchase those individual spaces. Now you could purchase it and rent it out, but just being honest, it's not really a cash flowing thing. Like if I was advising somebody to, purchase a cash flowing investment or not, this is not that. And that's coming from the person who's selling it. It's just the spread is not lucrative enough. This is more like a convenience play for someone who is either living on the Upper East Side, who just wants to purchase a parking space so they don't have to deal with all the nonsense. It's not really meant for, acquisition to then rent out. The cash flow would just be too low, just in my personal opinion. But if you still want to move forward with it, I'll sell it to you if you want. But just in full transparency, it shouldn't be looked at as like a cash flowing thing, just in full honesty. Because think about it. If the capital outlay is $175, right, and your monthly overhead is going to be about $540, and let's say if you can rent it out for like $950 to $1,000, I mean, for that much capital to be tied up for like $200 worth of cash flow, then to deal with the tenant and all that stuff, I just don't know if that would be something I would advise a client as a great investment. It's more of a, if you live on the Upper East Side and you just want the convenience allure factor, people just park their own vehicles there. But I'll definitely connect with you on it again. But here we are at Salesforce Tower. Mark Benioff. Oh really? Wow, Mark Summers is the Florida Panthers just won the Stanley Cup. Wow. Crazy, right? That's wild. You would never think a team from the tropics would win a hockey tournament. That's insane, right? You would think, a team from Canada would win the Stanley Cup. Not 90 degrees and palm trees in the state of Florida. But we'll take it. Pretty cool. Now, what's the breakdown of teams over the years from Canada versus the US that have won the Stanley Cup? You would assume way more Canadian teams would win. Right, because that's pretty much Canada's bread and butter, is hockey. Oh, B-ball. This is all the guys on the team are from Eastern Europe. Well, that explains it. Wow, NBA Alliance is the last Canadian team to win the cup. It was 1993. Holy crap. Well, I guess it makes sense, right? and this is, I'm just totally speculating, I have no idea. Hey, more Argentina fans. The more capitalized these teams are, assuming, you know, the American teams have more money, they can just buy the best players from Russia, Canada, all over. The Rangers were in it for a pretty long time. New England Crypto. This is Tom Needs merch. Oh, speaking of that, someone sent me this, such a really cool banker bag. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with them, but the like if you work at a bank, chances are you get those tubular kind of bags with that has the bank's logos on it. Somebody sent me a banker bag with the Walks in Wall Street logo on it, so I appreciate whoever did that. It was from no address, and there was no card in the box. Somebody just sent it to me, so thank you whoever did that. I appreciate it. I wish there was a way for me to contact you and say thank you. So whoever did that, thank you so much. Mr. Patel says the Panthers won the Stanley Cup. I know, as we've been hearing, pretty cool. Now, where do the Florida Panthers play? What city? BC Motors, what do you think of Toro car rental in New York City? Do people use Toro? Like, is it famous? I don't know, honestly. I mean, I see some of those Toro... Wait, actually, hold on. Maybe I'm thinking of something different. I see those blue Tesla taxis driving around. I don't know if that's Toro or not, but... I don't know. I don't personally use that stuff, but I'm sure some people do.
Like right now.
Ah, they play in Fort Lauderdale. Ah, Colton Manning, you're right. That's Revel, the taxi service, Revel. I would say, yeah. I mean, a fair amount of people use them. I've seen them cruising around for sure. MBA Elias says, I wonder if the parade will be in Brickell. I'm just not too sure there's many people who live in Miami that like hockey. Hey, Lance says, have your apartment tours stopped? No, we have more coming, and we have some insane listings coming. I just haven't had time to film many because I've been so busy, but we have we have a few in the hopper that are going to be insane listings that we have. So coming soon. They have not stopped. If anything, they're going to get even better, grander, and more over the top. VC Motors says, and what do you think about Airbnb businesses in New York City? I don't think it's a good business in a lot of metropolitan areas. You just really got to check the regulations. And New York City has really waged war on Airbnb. So, you know, if you own an apartment here, number one, let's say if you buy in a condo, you have to check the condo rules to see if they even allow Airbnb. Many of the new developments, many of these new condos, since there's been so many complaints, in the condo docs, they specifically say no Airbnb or no Verbo. Now, does that mean that you can't sublet the place? No. But again, you have to first revert to the rules of the condo. What is strictly prohibited, which nobody would ever do in a million years, which kind of sparked this whole mess in the first place, is people leasing apartments, right? There used to be a lot of people that would go around and sign a bunch of leases on apartments all around New York City and then throw them on Airbnb. They've totally clamped down on that because there was so many complaints. There was a lot of these high-rise buildings on 42nd Street and 10th Avenue where people would sign like 4 or 5 leases. They wouldn't live in them, but they would throw the units on Airbnb, and the government got wind of it. There was a lot of activist groups that says, hey, these people are taking precious supply off the market. And that's kind of why we have the very, very strict Airbnb rules that we have. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't put your place on Airbnb. You know, if you're gonna buy something here, just check with, number one, check the rules with your condo or the co-op. Chances are if you're buying a co-op, there's no way in hell they're gonna let you do Airbnb, but maybe on the off chance they will, you gotta check with the board. And then you just have to do 30-day plus rentals on Airbnb. So I think the environment's a little bit tough. So here's what I suggest, and a lot of people email me about buying in South Florida to use Airbnb businesses. Here's what I would do in this environment. If you're underwriting a deal strictly using the numbers that you think you would get with Airbnb, totally throw those numbers out the window and underwrite the deal as if you're doing 30-day rentals just randomly, or not randomly, just regularly leasing it out on a 12-month lease. And if the numbers work, then do the deal. But do not, in this environment, specifically, never, ever, 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 because it's just too much of a volatile market with local governments, state governments. Never underwrite a deal anymore exclusively on the income that you think you would bring in through Airbnb. Only underwrite based upon the parameters that you think and the money that you think you could bring in on a normal, you know, full 6 to 12 month lease. And if the numbers work, then do the deal. And if you do the deal and you put it on Airbnb and you're making more money, well, then that's just, you know, gravy on the top. But where a lot of people are going to get banged and are going to get in trouble is they operate on razor thin margins on a business model that could potentially be regulated away. So that's what I would advise if you're looking to get into that type of business. You can get into the business, but just know that there's going to be more risk down the line of state and local governments clamping down on short-term rentals. So in conclusion, underwrite the deal normally on a long-term lease, and if the numbers work there, you're good, because if Airbnb does get banned or you can't do it, well, then you could fall back to the regular lease. That's kind of what I would say. How much money in cans do you think is here? Mark Summers says, yes, many HOAs here in Phoenix Metro have similar restrictions with Airbnbs, minimum 30-day leases. Which, you know, Mark, by the way, it's a better business to do longer term rentals. Weekends, renting your house to somebody for a weekend is a freaking nightmare, at least in my experience. Because number one, and this is from my experience, by the way, I can't speak for anybody else, but number one, the quality of the tenant tends to be significantly worse than if you're gonna rent for somebody for 2 months on Airbnb. Because with Airbnb, it's 100% of the capital outlay at first. So chances are, if somebody has the money to give me, $4,500 up front to rent my house out for a month, well, there's a high probability they're not going to damage my property and be a bad tenant, right? But if somebody's just renting my place for a night, the risk, maybe I'll make $300, but the risk is they destroy my place and then they're out the next day and I never see them again. I don't need the $300, okay, to have my place potentially be destroyed. So when you're thinking about these type of businesses, think about how can I get the highest quality tenant possible while mitigating my risk. And for me, that's been 30-day minimum only. So I do Airbnb, but I only rent to people for a minimum of 30 days. And most people want to do 30 days plus. I think the longest I've done is a 90-day, and they've been great tenants. A lot of travel nurses, a lot of interns this summer, lots of interns, and lots of people who want to purchase in the neighborhood that are just kind of testing and feeling the neighborhood out. So lower the amount of turnover that you have by increasing the duration of the stay, and by chance you'll also simultaneously increase the quality of the tenant, which has been in my experience. All right, this is 5th Avenue, 34th Street. Now the building across the street, this is a beautiful building, by the way. This is the CUNY Graduate Center. So this is the graduate school at the City University in New York. And these, I would rather stay in a hotel with good room and spa service. Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it on a month, like for a month, right? Let's say if you stay at the Park Hyatt in New York City for a month with great room service and great spa service, that's going to be $75,000. That's going to be 50 to 75 grand if you want to stay at a nice 5-star hotel for a month. If you stay at a run-of-the-mill regular hotel, you're probably looking at 12 to 20 grand. But if you stay at an Airbnb, you can get a good deal, $3,500 a month, have the whole house to yourself, park a car in the driveway, and have your whole family stay there. But I definitely understand what you're saying. I guess it just depends. If you have kids, it's probably going to be, better warranted to rent out an entire house. But that's kind of my thing. All right, we're coming down to 32nd Street. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams almost every day, starting at 8:45. Another thing I'd recommend, and this is advice that I was given when I bought my first property. Let's say you underwrite the numbers and you're underwriting it with market rent. Whatever type of market that you're in. If you're in New York City, you underwrite it with the median rent there. Yada yada, all throughout the nation. If you really, really want to be safe, minus 15%. And if the deal works with 15% below median rents in that neighborhood, then that's a safe deal. You always want to try to build a margin of safety. And what I see, particularly at the very, very high end, right? Mainly because it's other people's money and sometimes people just don't care. They underwrite these deals on such razor thin margins when the market could turn in an instant. Nobody knows what the market's going to do. We could go into a huge bear market where rents crater I mean, nobody really knows. We could speculate, but at the end of the day, nobody has a crystal ball. They don't know where the market's going to go. So if you see a deal, you really like it, and the numbers just work, the numbers like just work on a razor-thin margin, just be cautious. And maybe consider living in the property while you're renting it. Particularly if it's like a duplex or a triplex or something. That's a really great way to get started. Particularly if you're young. Because a lot of young people live with roommates anyway. So why don't you just buy the place, either rent out the individual rooms, or buy a duplex or a triplex, live in one side, rent out the others. And when you get old enough to start a family or something, move out, rent out all 3 of the units or rent out all 4 of the bedrooms, and then go get your own place. This place is called Captain Sushi in Nomad. Now the food's not the best, but it's very fun eating in here. Apparently this is what it's like in Japan. The sushi comes out on a conveyor belt. We'll see if it's still open. I'll show you what the menu looks like. VC Motors says I want to rent myself first, then further sublease on Airbnb. What do you think of that? We just talked about that. We said it's not allowed in New York. So from my understanding, you want to rent a place and then not live in it and put it on Airbnb. That's a big no. Nobody's going to let you do that. Just not to be sound like I'm being mean, but no landlord in New York City is ever in a million years going to allow you to do that. You can check, but there's no way. Yeah, one piece of sushi is like $5.95. It's kind of expensive, but it's a cool environment. It's fun. Hey, what's up, Abdullah? You know, lemonades, these food prices are outrageous. And you can rack up a crazy bill there because the sushi is so small. I could crush like 80,000. VC Motors, I'm seeing all your comments. I'm trying to answer all of them, but in New York City is not that friendly business environment for this type of model. You know, I mean, put yourself in a landlord's shoes, right? Like, just play this scenario. Let's say if you own an apartment in New York City and somebody comes to you and says, I'll rent your place for $5,000, and you rent it to them. And then you find out that they're putting your apartment up on Airbnb. How would you feel? You know, so it just, you gotta, I don't know if I can really advise you anymore on this. If you really want to go through it, I would just talk to the individual landlords, get the approval, and if it works, you know, do it. But I just, from my experience living here, it's just, the laws are very strict here with that stuff. Maybe in a different market, but New York City is like the most strict probably in the United States with that. Mark Summers says, Tom, what CRM do you prefer for your real estate business? I think we use Follow Up Boss, which was just bought by Zillow, but I have my own kind of thing that I run. Like all my big clients that, you know, I do deals with, you know, consulting with the equity research side, and I don't put any of their info in that stuff. But Follow Up Boss is actually pretty good because you can program to follow up automatically, automatic prompts, things like that. I am a huge proponent of the use of the CRM. However, for me, if I'm being honest, even going back to my, you know, tech sales career, I don't know, some people are just different. Some people operate extremely well with the CRM, and you should, right? If you're running a big operation, you should have a CRM. But for me, I don't know, maybe call me old school, but I operate in Microsoft Excel, and I have just all of my business contacts there. But I still utilize Follow Up Boss for some stuff. But yeah, I used to use Salesforce a lot, obviously. I used to use, when I worked at a startup, we used to use software called Zoho, Z-O-H-O, which was pretty good, which is just like a less expensive version of Salesforce. But for the real estate business particularly, I think Follow Up Boss is the best for that. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I've had no issues with it. I mean, what about you? What do you use? And the support is pretty good too. And another thing that I like about the Follow Up Boss is that it comes with a separate number, so you can keep your business and personal phone numbers completely different. So like with my big clients, like with my guys and my girls that I know forever, they just text me on my personal. But for people that I don't really know and they're new, you know, I just give them that Follow Up Boss number. So I think it's a pretty good piece of software for sure. TK Porsche says, yeah, excellent. Do not use your company's CRM to DB your client info. I'd say it's interesting, like with some people that they're very high profile. I never put their personal information on anything, just because, like, think about the play there, right? Why do you think Zillow bought Follow Up Boss? For the CRM technology? No, it's a nonsense CRM technology. I'm not saying that in a mean way. They bought it for the data. You know what I mean? You're acquiring the data. So, you know, if you have a relationship that you've crafted over years and years, particularly non-real estate related, where it comes to like money management, or you're doing research for a firm, I would never just like, there's such a high value target, almost, for lack of a better term. I just keep all that stuff off the grid. Because one, you know, if they have a data leak or something and that gets out, you know, you blow up the whole relationship that you worked years for. Well, let's say if you're on a project and you're, you know, selling out something in volume, then yeah, you want to plug and play everybody into a CRM and have them on, you know, like a trickle automatic follow-up where it sends out email blasts, text blasts. But to your core business, I call it like the core book of business, where these people are like your personal friends that's going to carry you through your entire career. You should just be on like a personal, you know, personal phone number to personal phone number relationship basis with those people. I think that's how the big relationships are built over the long term. Like, I don't think Jamie Dimon is, you know, doing outbound on Salesforce if he wants to reach like Lloyd Blankenfein or something. He's just gonna shoot him a text. You know, Bill Ackman and Carl Icahn want to get in touch, they just, you know, text each other. So when you're building your huge book on like the big clients, just, you know, keep it between you guys. Now, it's obviously not what the corporation is going to want to hear, but that's the reality of it, right? I'm trying to think of what other CRMs I've used. The best one I've used is obviously Salesforce, because there was just so many things that you could do. There was a software, I don't even know if it's still around, Marketo, I think it was owned by Salesforce or something like that, which was pretty good for like just like putting together like really good marketing stuff. Just like organization in general was really good. I don't know, what do you guys use? Mark says, but I do keep my stuff separate, like Excel for many clients. CRMs definitely keep you organized, for sure. Sabrina Fair says, I'm using Salesforce now. It's very good. Yeah, if you're in business-to-business sales, like B2B sales at like a tech company, Salesforce is like hands down the best, because you could just pull up, you know, your lead list, you know, crank out your calls. When I was using it, it had like transcription, so it would like transcribe the call so you could remember what you talked about when you're going to follow up with the guy. Especially if you have a big territory. You know, if you're covering, like if you're an enterprise sales rep and you're covering the Northeast, you have so many different people you're talking to. So a lot of times you could forget what you spoke about. So Salesforce is really good for that. I'm kind of bummed that this portal to Ireland closes so early. We'll still check it out. Now, you know what else I remember from that? Salesforce was so good that it would have a live link to their LinkedIn page. Now, LinkedIn has turned into just an absolute horror show, real dumpster fire. But when I was in tech sales, I made all of my money over LinkedIn. And this was before many people were using LinkedIn for prospecting. All of the money I made was on, you know, cold messaging on LinkedIn. And that was when people would respond. This was like 2014, 2015. Now, I mean, it's just gotten so crowded and there's so much spam where I don't even use my LinkedIn anymore. I think I may just even delete my LinkedIn just because I don't use it. I honestly, the only time I check LinkedIn is when I get massive notifications from, you know, you got somebody messaged you, and it's just all nonsense. But before it was crowded, you could message, you know, a CTO of a company and they would respond in an instant. That was awesome. But just like all things, right, I guess in the hedge fund business you could call it crowdedness. When everybody's doing something, you know, the alpha gets sucked out. I think there's no alpha, you know, anymore in LinkedIn messaging. It's just, I think people are tired of it. Now, where I think there is significant alpha now, to all the salespeople in the chat, I'll give you a little clue in here. If you're a salesperson, doesn't matter what you're selling, right? You could be selling real estate, you could be selling software, whatever. Twitter or X.com is the new LinkedIn. And I've said that about a year ago, and it's still like that. You'd be surprised, particularly if you're in the financial business. There's a lot of high-level hedge fund managers, analysts that put out their research for free on Twitter, and you could DM them and they'll DM you back and you could share research. But you'd be surprised if you find somebody that you're looking for on Twitter and you send them a DM. There's money there. The X platform is phenomenal for that, absolutely phenomenal. So for me, X is the new LinkedIn. Black Feathers says Elon Musk killed Twitter. I don't think so. I mean, there's some major problems. I don't like what Elon Musk is doing with the X-rated content. I think he's like allowing it. That's just going to destroy the platform. I think that all of that should be banned. I don't know the exact story with him on that, but there's so many spam bots on X where they really got to do something with that. Alex4411 says we should get this guy to talk about his sense of fashion sometime, his professional sense and what he wears. I wouldn't say I'm the most fashionable guy ever. I think if I'm dressing down, I pretty much wear the same thing every day. These $10 H&M blue t-shirts and just the rotation of the 3 different color pants at H&M. But if I'm going on an appointment, then I suit up. Suit and tie. I have like 3 really, really nice suits in the office. And if I'm, going to like a cocktail thing, I just wear a lot of stuff from Brooks Brothers. In the fall, I just like the Brooks Brothers brand, mainly because it kind of feels like you're in the 1980s, OG kind of Wall Street kind of vibe. That's just kind of the style I like, older. But no, I'm not a fashion guy at all. I'm really not. I wear suits. I don't spend a lot of money on suits though. I think Suit Supply is a big ripoff. You'd be surprised to hear this, but the flagship Macy's at Herald Square has some of the best selections in suits. And I know what you're thinking, you're probably rolling your eyes. No, it's different. This Macy's in New York City at Herald Square is unlike any Macy's you've ever been in. It's a very, very good selection. I think the most, maybe I'll spend like $400 on a suit. Maybe. But there's no way I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on a suit. Shoes. I like Cole Haan. I think they're very nice. I have a few like Allen Edmonds, but I don't wear that all the time. When I wear streaming, I just blow out this nonsense. That's really about it. Hey Hawaii, what's up? Thanks for joining us. Trust you will. But there's these, in the fall, I think Brooks Brothers has the best kind of light fall jackets. They have this really nice green color, like a navy blue one, and like a brown one. And I just rotate those 3, but I've had them for years. They're neutral colors. They last. Someone says, do I have anything Patagonia? I'm not a huge fan of Patagonia, actually. I mean, I think I have one Patagonia vest, which I got when I was working at a startup. They gave it to us, but they don't allow brand names anymore. So a lot of times you'll see people walking around with like Patagonia logos. But I don't know, I'm not a... I'd say I like Brooks Brothers better, I think.
Yeah. I stayed there for the summer for 2 months. No way.
I don't know, for what do you guys think? For suits, I don't like stripes. I don't know, it's just not my style. I like solid colors. I can't do the stripe stuff. It's just not me. When I see someone wearing like a striped suit, I mean, hey, if it works for you, if that's your style, hey, more power to you. Wear whatever you want. But for me, I don't know. It just doesn't really fit. Stripes on a suit. That's really about it. I'm not a big fashion guy. It's garbage night. You can definitely smell it too. Short guys, Tom does $10 t-shirts but no stripes, correct. Yeah, if you ever walk into H&M, you go to the men's section and there's a rack of, I'm wearing it right now. This one. It's like a solid blue t-shirt. There's some whites. So if I'm not customer facing, if I'm not client facing, if I'm just gonna be grinding out in the office when nobody else is there, like on a weekend, I'll wear these. But if there's gonna be a lot of people in the office, if there's like gonna be very active in there, then I'll wear like a nice Brooks Brothers polo or just like a white collared shirt. Just like I wear a lot of the basic white dress shirts, Calvin Klein dress shirts. That's it. I think I should get into the habit of suiting up every day. I really should. I do believe in that, like old school, you know, you don't necessarily have to wear the tie, but you should wear the suit every day. I do think that, but I'm lazy. I'm gonna be honest, I'm lazy. So maybe that'll be something that I need to do a little bit better. Before the pandemic, before COVID, I used to be in a suit every day. Every day, I used to be in a suit. But, you know, people are creatures of habit, and I've gotten lazy. Maybe that'll be one of the things on the agenda, is suck it up, suit up every day, because you probably should, you know what I mean? You probably should. It shows respect for others. So maybe I'll do that. NBA Elias is like, Tom, the clip-on tie is the best. When I was in, I think when I was in Catholic school, when I was a little kid, I had a few of those with the uniform. That's so funny. Clip-on ties. Because you can really tell. If you've ever, and I'm sure many of you have, just take a walk up and down Park Avenue at like 1 o'clock or maybe like 11 a.m. on a Thursday or a Wednesday. You can tell who the big freaking players are. on Wall Street that are probably the big managing directors that have been there for years. You know, some big hedge fund manager. They all look like freaking rock stars. You know, super sharp, really nice suit. In the fall, they have those big long trench coats. They have the briefcase. They just look like something out of a 1980s Wall Street movie. And you know, all of them are super successful walking up and down Park. Every time I see Bill Ackman on the street, that guy's always in a suit and tie. Always. I've never seen that guy not in a suit and tie. And it makes sense. I mean, the guy's a multi-billionaire, you know? So I think this, I'm so glad somebody made that comment. Maybe I'll suit up every day now. I mean, you're never gonna see a guy like Carl Icahn or Bill Ackman roll up in, you know what I mean? Yeah, JJ says, yeah, the 80s is back, briefcases, and not the satchels or backpacks. When I was in tech, I was heavy on the backpacks. Just like a different environment if you work in tech. But I don't know, I'm not so against backpacks, but I do have a briefcase. I actually have a really nice briefcase. Joel PM says, dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. That's a really good saying too. I just think society, including myself, and myself included in this statement, I think with a lot of the work from home stuff, it may have gotten a little bit too far, and it's made people kind of, I didn't really feel good when I was working from home. I'm just gonna be honest. And maybe because at the time, you know, I was single, you know, it's different. Maybe if you have kids, you know, you wanna be home with your kids. But being home every day, sitting at your desk, you know, cramped up in your apartment, not dressing up every day, it just weighs on you mentally. You know, when you can get out of the house, wake up early, go to work, you feel like you're accomplishing something. When you're moping around the house, you know, even if you're making some good money, which I was, it's just a psychological thing. I don't know how to explain it. When you're just in your house all day, you know, you're sitting at your computer, you're working remote, it just doesn't feel the same. It feels like you're a lazy piece of garbage. At least that's what it felt like to me. I think humans need interaction. I think, you know, humans are interactive creatures. We need to go into the office, see people, hang out. Now, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but at least that's kind of how I felt during the pandemic. And I was in a major city, but I was in one of the major cities that was locked down. Harder than probably any other major city, but in any event. Connor says, I 100% agree. I hate working from home so much. I can't stand it. I love going to the actual office, having an actual routine, talking to people face to face. I mean, especially in a city like New York. I mean, there's nothing like, you know, coming down from the office. It's 1 p.m. You go with your coworkers, they get a cup of coffee. Everybody else is out. It feels good. But I also understand maybe if you have little kids, you know, and you're not single, it's, you know, it helps with the bills. You don't have to hire a nanny. I totally get that. So it's not like I'm demonizing anybody working from home. I'm just saying right now for me, I don't know, not a big fan. Additionally, the last thing I'll say, and then we'll kind of cut it here, which I so agree with. If I was just starting out my career, let's say if I was, you know, in college as an account executive, just graduating as an account executive, with the whole COVID thing, work from home, I would not be where I am in my career. Just 100%, total guaranteed, would not be where I am today. If I started my career with the work from home bullshit. Because the way that I kind of worked up the ranks from an entry-level account executive to director of enterprise sales before the age of 27 is by being in the office, looking at the leaderboard every day, and saying, okay, who at the company is absolutely freaking crushing it, and let me work with them every day. I would make calls for them, I would send emails for them, all the leads I would bring in, I would split with them. So when we would close a big deal, I wouldn't get paid 100% on that. I would give them 80% of the deal and I'd make 20%. But we were doing so much crazy volume that I was getting my name at the top of the leaderboard every month, where you get noticed and then you move up the ranks. So sometimes people can be short-sighted to say, they're thinking about, oh, how could I make all the money? But you're not going to even have the opportunity to make the money if you're not getting around the right people. And this is very specific to sales. Maybe you can't apply this to other careers, but when you're very, very young, you want to be around the top performers in the company. Don't be a leech to them, but say, hey, you're killing it. I want to kill it too. What can we do to work together? You know, I'll pull leads for you, I'll make the calls, and I don't even want to get paid on the deals. I just want my name on the deal. And as you start bringing in big deals, you could ratchet up your percentage that you split with them. And chances are, you're going to be doing massive numbers, so you're going to be making way more money than if you kept 100% of the deal. So with all of these, like let's say if you're a first-year analyst at a major investment bank, right? Could you imagine trying to get FaceTime with your managing director working remote? It's just not even going to be a thing, right? It's just impossible. When you're an analyst and you're trying to work your way up to associate, from associate to VP, VP to managing director, you're not going to build those relationships with the people on your desk by working remote. There's just no way in hell. So I think a lot of these COVID kids, that's what I call them the COVID kids, got so screwed. I mean, they think they think they made out like bandits because they were able to stay home and make 100 grand, but you shouldn't be worried about the 100 grand now. You should be worried about the 10 million bucks, 50 years down the line. You should be worrying about the $20 million exit 50 years down the line with the relationships you've built when you were young. So with that said, guys, I will sign off because I got to get the train here. And I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to start the stream on time and we could go to the High Line. Fingers crossed, please God. So take care, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on video. Click the subscribe button if you're new. And have a wonderful, blessed week ahead. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. So Feathers, Colton Manning, Sabrina Fair, MD, New England Crypto, Doc 7, Austin City Limits, Tatted T, Hawaii, Paul McNeely, Mark Summers, Muhammad. I'll leave you guys off with this view of Penn Station. Abdullah, take care, and MG. Sabrina Fair, always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. See you guys tomorrow.